Hello, people. I'd like to welcome you again to this series on real estate that we call Real Estate Money Class with Pastor Chidi. Thank you so much for having watched to this extent. I am sure that you've gained quite a lot of values from our discussion. I would like you to please subscribe. Embrace the abundant mind. If you know anyone who would need an information like this, please just send the person the link of this video and ask the person to subscribe for further informative videos like this one. All right. So I like to welcome you once again to this series, and today I'm going to be handling something very important. This might be the only video that may exceed 5 minutes or that might get to 10 minutes. All right. So, because of the nature of what I want to discuss, and I want it to be in one piece. All right. I don't want it to flow to another video. I'll be talking about documentation and land titles that you must get familiar with. Now, before you go into uh, real estate, or before you want to start dealing with lands and properties, you need to get yourself familiar with uh, land documentations and land titles of your country. All right. So what I want to do here right now is to reveal to you certain land titles that you need to know. Okay. You've seen quite a lot of land, a lot of properties. Some of them bear CFO, which is the most commonly known one that everybody knows, the CFO, which is Certificate of Occupancy. I'm still going to talk about the Certificate of Occupancy, all right? And then, but there are whole other titles. Now, why is this particular training on documentation important? For me, I believe that the first stage to authenticate how genuine a land is before you go into it or you start marketing it or suggesting it to someone, or do you understand? Before you go into that, I believe that the first thing you must do as a realtor or a buyer is to uh, check these titles. All right? It is the titles that help you to know if this land is, or these lands that they are selling to you or that you want to sell to somebody as a realtor is actually genuine. It's very important so that you don't get into trouble. You don't get asked. For me, one, if there's anything that I hate is getting into trouble with people. So I do my homework, okay, to make sure that I don't get into any trouble. All right. You wouldn't want, after someone must have paid you a whole lot of money and probably you spend the money and they're coming again to say the land is not genuine and they're asking you to refund the money, and perhaps you've used the money to do something else. Uh, it might even land you in jail. Okay, so you have to be very careful. If you actually want to pursue real estate, you want to apply your trade in real estate, you have to be very, very careful with this particular training. You might need to play this video over and over again so that you have an understanding of what I'm talking about. The first thing I want you to understand is that every land belongs to the government, and this is as a result of the 1978 Land Use Act. Every land belongs to the government. Land does not belong to uh, it doesn't belong to your community. All right. So communities have no power to give out land except land that are excised. All right. What do we mean by excision? Excision are lands that the government have released to the community. Okay, have given the community the right to start selling. Those are the only lands that they can sell. And once a land is excised by the government, it means that the community can now sell the land. That land is documented on an official government book that is called the Gazette. And that's why you see some land with the number, with the name, with the title excised. All right? Or the title Gazette. Okay? This is very important. Now, excised means that the government has released the land to the community, so the community can now sell the land. Now, if you go to get a land that is not excised by the government, a land that the community does not have a right to sell to you, and you buy it, okay, it doesn't matter how much you spent on it. If it's a land that is reserved for the government, land that is already reserved by the government, what it means is that whenever the government wants to use their land, they will use their land, and you have the whatever investment you've made on that land has gone. That is why you see quite a lot of demolitions happening, all right? Because people went to go and buy lands like government has reserved. So in order to be free from this, you must understand that all land belongs to the government, and before you go, check the gazette to make sure that that particular land is excised. All right, so it carries the title excision, and make sure that it is the one that has a number, meaning that excision have been completed. All right, that you are actually going to buy. All right. So let me go further. All right, a gazette is an official record book. Okay, where special details of the government are recorded. So the Gazette does not only carry landed information; is a government book. But when you see a land written Gazette or a land that carries the title Gazette, what it actually means is that the land have been excised and as such have been recorded. Okay, have been recorded. And I've told you what excision is. I'm still going to talk about it. Now, another one you might need to understand is survey. The survey, registration of survey. What is survey? The survey plan. The survey plan is what the surveyor does for you. You have a land and you get a surveyor. It checks the dimensions of the land. Okay? That's why you see some land will tell you registration of survey and deed of assignment. Okay? So it means that that land has been surveyed by a surveyor. Okay, the dimensions of the land have been checked and obtained, and as such is registered TOS with the government. All right, that is what it means. The government is aware that such land actually exists. All right. Now, why that is important is that you need to get a surveyor to survey land. Is that in the process of surveying the land and checking other information about the land, you might now find out whether that particular land is excised, whether that particular land is all reserved for the government, all right, is reserved for mixed purpose, or it is, or what has the government, because some government might reserve a land for different reasons. Might reserve a land maybe because it wants to create a road through that means, or it wants to put some public utilities and facilities there. Okay, so you need to check that. So in the process of surveying the land, that's why you see lands will carry survey, registration of survey. It means that these things have been checked. That is in the process of checking it that you can now tell if this land is already is within the government land, or is it within the land that you can is it a land that is free for you to buy. So surveying is very important. You check the dimensions of the land, the width of the land, how many plots the land is, what's the measurement of the land. All these things are supposed to be contained in the survey plan. All right. Now, another one that you need to understand is the deed of conveyance. The deed of conveyance was valid. It was a valid evidence for land ownership until 1978, the Land Use Act that now introduced the CFO, the Certificate of Occupancy. Now, the deed of conveyance is an old legal document used to transfer interest. For instance, if I have a land right now and I have the deed of a conveyance, and I want to sell the land to you, all right, I will have to assign that land to you. In assigning that land to you, I will register it with the government, okay, as the assignee, and now it will become what I'll be giving to you right now will be the deed of assignment. I have the deed of conveyance. Now I can transfer, because I want to transfer the interest of the ownership of the land to you. This is very important, because even if that's why you will not be given a C of O, please, this might still exceed 10 minutes. You will not be given a C of O if you don't produce the evidence of the a deed of assignment. Before you be given a C of O, you must have a deed of assignment. The original owner of the land will have the deed of conveyance, meaning he can convey the ownership of the land to you. He can assign it to you As such, when you obtain it and it's registered, you have what is called the deed of assignment. So when you look at the deed of assignment, it carries a history of many people who have owned a particular land. Maybe how did this land get to Mr. A, Mr. B, who is now selling it to Mr. C, who wants to transfer it to Mr. D. So you look at the deed of assignment, you can tell how many people have actually owned that land. So that is the information. It carries the history of the ownership of the land. Very important. And this is very important. Before you be given a C of O, before you be given a C of O, a certificate of occupancy, you must produce the deed of assignment. The deed of the owner of that land, the original owner of the land, the ancestral owner of the land, must have to give you the C, that's the deed of assignment. Then let's quickly talk about C of O, which is certificate of occupancy. All right. The certificate of occupancy is issued by the government, the state government, officially to lease a land for you for 99 years. The things you need to know, there are a whole lot of things you need to know about. Some of the things you need to know here is that the certificate of occupancy expires for 99 years. Okay? It's valid for 99 years. So after 99 years, what happens? Is it that the government takes it back or you renew it or all that? Okay? So they give it to you for 99 years. I don't know why 99 years. I don't know why they didn't make it 100 years, okay? So they should have just concluded it and make it 100 years. All right, that just... So it expires after 99 years and is issued by the state government, all right? Unlike the excision does not expire, okay? The difference between the excision and the certificate of occupancy is that, number one, you can use a certificate of occupancy to get a collateral from the bank. But certificate of occupancy expires after 99 years. All right. Excision does not expire. All right. A land that the government have released for the community to sell, that's the one that is excised. All right. So when you get a certificate of occupancy, it means you have the right to use the land. Now, what if you have a certificate of occupancy and you want to sell the land to somebody? Remember, you only register certificate of occupancy once. No land can get to certificate of occupancy aside or to it, all right? Unless if it's one of them must be fraudulent, okay? So in order to be sure, if you have it and you want to sell a land, you don't go issuing, according to section 22 of the Land Use Act, you don't go issuing certificate of occupancy to people. Rather, you go for what is called the governor's consent. That's why you see some land carry governor consent. Governor consent means two things. It means that the land has been gazetted, the land has been released for use, is already excised, all right, and it has an already existing certificate of occupancy, all right. Then as such, you cannot issue another certificate. Rather, you get the governor's consent. So what that means is that even if you, as the owner of the land, get a certificate of occupancy, you have to go further to also get the get the governor's consent for that land. So I've talked about survey plan, and I've also talked about excision, which is basically government lands that are released by the government. Okay, this is very important. So what I advise you to do is go back, make researches on some of these. I've mentioned like 6 to 7 titles that you need to get yourself acquainted, power of attorney, all these things. Study them and know them very well. Have them behind them. Know the offices of the government where these things can be registered and how you can go and check them and all that. So know them before you even venture in as a realtor, because so that you don't get yourself into trouble. I don't know how old you are. All right, me, I'm not that age is no longer on my side. Now, check a situation whereby I find myself in, God forbid, in a prison for more just because I sold the land. All right? And why it's important is that there are a whole lot of people who ordinary 419 cannot get. But they have been duped because of the excitement of buying a land. All right? They have been duped because of it. So, whether you're a buyer or a realtor and that is watching this, please study this and know how to validate it, know how to check them, offices where you can go to check them so that you be sure that you have a valid a valid document. These are very, very important before even you talk about. So thank you so much for this. Please, I have given a lot of values and I'm still giving more. Subscribe, please. Subscribe. If about 1,000 of you or 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 of you that will be watching this has actually subscribed and hit the notification button, of course you know we're getting somewhere. Help me, okay, because I'll be giving more value. We're doing real estate right now, talking about realtors. I'm still going to talk about investment opportunity in another series. So if you want to have be the first to know about some of those things, hit the notification button so you get our subsequent updates. Thank you so much, and I remain Pastor Chidi. God bless you, and I hope to see you in the next clip.